Hello and thanks for watching this Cloud9 ERP Solutions video and subscribing to our YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to talk about lot serial tracking and a new feature that's been added to Acumatica as of 2025 R1. Now at the top of the screen, we're linking a video of how to use this in a different example. And the reason this was available a few years ago is because Acumatica had it on GitHub. And it was a customization you could publish in situations where you needed it. But now it's a refined feature, and it'll be coming out in 2025 R1. Currently, we're recording this video in beta. So we're looking at our stock items here. And I added the column of the lot serial class. I made it visible using the gear button here. So as we're looking at this, we have an injection molding machine. And if we open it up, we can see the lot serial class that's being used. So it's a serial number, which is assigned when it's received. And then the serial number is issued first in, first out. And so for this example, maybe we want to also track, in addition to the serial number, maybe we want to track a quality score. Or maybe these machines are always generated with different thresholds. Perhaps of the heating range, or perhaps of the speed. Maybe there's just some additional information that we have to know about our machine so that we can properly calibrate it against the product that we're making. In this case, it's an injection molding machine. And that's just the example we're using. As I said, take a look at the video up in the upper right-hand corner, where we take an item that we get in bulk, lineal feet, and we need to cut it down. And as we cut it down, we need to track it. And when customers are asking us about what do we have in stock, we might have a 4-foot, a 6-foot, an 8-foot. That video describes that example of using lot serial tracking. So let's open up this serial lot class. And you can see how it's defined here. There's the description. We're assigning the serial number initially when it's received, not when it's used. And when we issue it out, this particular lot class says FIFO, so first in, first out. It's being automatically assigned the serial number on the way out. Now, that's not going to work for us in our example because we want to give the customer options and selections as to what item they'd like to purchase. So if we look for additional lot serial classes, we can see that this SR enter is perhaps the one we want. So let's close this. We'll close our lot serial class. Let's go back to our list of items. And let's search for SR enter. And we don't have any set up. So what we'll do here is we'll change this one. You can change this item to assign it manually after you've already had items in stock. It's not a big deal because essentially we're just changing the one step of when the item is shipped out the door. So let's change this to assigned user enterable, and we'll save it. Now, let's take a look at that lot serial class. And so what you see here is a new section called attributes. And you need to enable it. It's under experimental features in the enable features section. But here we can define all of the different attributes that we'd like to track for this particular item. Now, we could track those on the way in or on the way out. So depending upon whether the vendor is shipping it with all these different attributes or whether it's something we do in-house before we sell it to the customer. And with this new functionality, you'll have the flexibility to decide whether or not you want to take this work in-house or, again, have the vendor do it. So let's take a look at the attributes. I've set up a few for this particular item. So the first one is the temperature. So the extrusion temperature of this plastic molding machine, this is the max. Now the vendor might, when they manufacture this, have a certain max temperature that it'll go up to. Now typically this would be a different SKU, but in testing, they may actually come up with this number and need to publish it for you so you have a good idea what the quality of the machine is. So we'll add that. We'll make it a required field. Before I continue, Only 16% of you are subscribed. Hit that subscribe button now to get notified about new videos and events. The next thing is the finish. So this particular item can be finish coded with a bunch of different options. So we'll ask to track that as well. And lastly, we need to know the power rating in the form of amps. So we'll put that in there. Again, this particular product SKU, in most cases, the SKU itself has that rating. There's a white paper on it, but we're making an example here. So we'll save this and we'll close it. And so now the first thing we want to do is we want to receive this item into stock. Typically what you do is you'd create a purchase order and you'd wait. The vendor would agree to the price. They would acknowledge the shipment of it, and then you'd receive it. In this case, I'm just going to skip right to the purchase receipt and receive this item. So we have our receipt here. We'll pick a vendor. And so we'll add our item to receive. It'll be this injection molding machine. We'll receive 2 of them. And if we click on our line details button here and we click generate, the system knows the next serial number. Typically, the vendor's going to give us the serial number, and we'll scan that serial number specifically from the vendor. Probably is not going to be in sequence, and the vendor's going to give us that, and that's how they track on their end the item they had out at their distributor and out at the final destination customer. So that number is going to be, typically for an expensive item like this, is going to be from the vendor. In this case, we're generating our own serial number just to make it easier. But what you notice here is against every serial number, you can see our attributes. We happen to define them as required. And you have the ability to key in the value. So as you're looking at the documentation for these items that are coming in, we can put those values in. So for example, this item is maybe 100 amps. The extrusion temperature we found out for this machine is 550. And then for finish coat, we have a selection that allows us to define what finish this item was shipped with. Again, we're defining this on the way in. So this means that the vendor is picking the finish for us. We're asking them to pick the finish for us, but they're handling the finish process on their end. So maybe this came in with a blue powder coating. So then now that we've done that, we'll go to the second one and we'll put in the information again. Whatever that information is for that individual one. Again, this is a serial numbered item. So each item is individual. We're trying to track it individually. We're trying to track this information individually. So the extrusion temperature is a little different on this one. The finish coat is stainless instead of powder blue. We'll click OK. And now that we've defined that, we'll hit release. Now that we have this item in stock, we can go to lot serial details. But what's changed here is the profile screen gives us more information. Specifically, it's going to show us all our lot serial information. So here we are looking at this particular item and this particular serial number of the item. And we can see the different attributes that we've chosen to define. So you got your amps, your temperature, and your finish. And under description, we can do all sorts of things. We can define this differently. Maybe it's a used item. This can be great for used items inventory. But, maybe it has a scratch on it. We can put that here. You have a rich editor here to either put HTML or just bold and different fonts and stuff. You can also attach an image to this. So in the example of a used machine, we can drag and drop an image over here. And now we can take a look at it so that this way we can describe it to the customer or email it to the customer so that they can have a selection. Maybe you have a few of these used machines in stock and the customer wants to look at 3 different images. Later, you can put it on your e-commerce website. Certainly with some work, you can do that so that customers can browse the different items and make their proper selection. Now, if you don't have the image somewhere on your file system, you can always click on Files and upload using the mobile app, use your phone, and actually take a picture of the item you're looking at. So while it's in stock, we have the ability to keep tabs on our individual items And in the example we used in that video, I'll show it again, we actually put a side panel here so that you could see all the lot serial attributes while you're going through this grid of all your lot serials. So now when it comes time to selling the item, if we open up a sales order and we start writing it for our customer, and now what you notice here in sales orders is this new button, Add Lot Serial Number. And what that allows you to do is to look at all your items and their attributes accordingly. So you could see here at the very top, because it's the last items I added, I can see the attributes here: amp rating, the extrusion temperature, and the finish coating. Now I don't need to look at all the items. I can go over here and pick my injection item. And now it'll filter just that particular set of lot serials. And of course, we only have 2 of them in stock. Those are the only 2 that we received that have these attributes. But it gives you the ability to look at it and make a determination with the customer so that you can then select those items for the customer. Now keep in mind, this allows you to create different filters. So if we wanted to, we can click here and say, only show me, blue items, only show me something with an amp rating between, a certain number or an extrusion temperature. This particular screen doesn't have definable attributes at the moment, but maybe that's something we could look forward to in the future. But as I select those 2 items, because the customer needs those specifications, I can add and close. And now I have these 2 items. They're 2 different line items with 2 different serial numbers that the customer is committed to. And I could save it and then start my pick, pack, and ship process. So that's lot serial attributes. You can see we took it from the very beginning. We're receiving it from the vendor. We're checking it out while it's in inventory, and we're making the proper selections for our customer on the way out. So the customer gets what they're looking for. So this has numerous capabilities, numerous different industry applications that you can use this for. Again, take a look at our video if you have different cut sizes that you like to use. But hopefully you found this video useful, and if you did, please click the like button. If you have any questions about this or anything else Acumatica, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again, and have a great day.